Hello and welcome. If you're a rugby player and you want to lose fat, this video is for you because I'm going to show you some of the easiest ways that you can lose fat. All right, and why might you want to lose fat as a rugby player? Okay, well, one, if you lose fat, all right, your relative strength is going to go up because you'll lose weight, all right, and if you just lost the fat, then your strength should still be just as strong as you were before. Okay, so your relative strength will go up, and that means things like you can be faster, all right, because you're not carrying around as much weight. It's easier for you to hit the floor and to get that power down. You're pushing less, all right, and for that same reason that you can be fitter. Okay, because yeah, like I said, you're pushing less weight around. Okay, so you're actually more powerful for your own body weight, which means you can push yourself forward easier. Um, that being said, okay, so if you want to lose 5, 10, 20 kilos, all right, it all comes back down to these same things. And I'm going to first start with is how much do you actually want it? Because that's going to dictate your results. If you really want to lose fat, then you can do it. All right, but if you're not like a 10 out of 10, you're probably not going to do it. Or maybe you lose a couple kilos and it'll go back up. You'll just fluctuate. And if you're in one of those fluctuates, it's no good. Like you just got to go all in. And so, how do you go all in? Well, why don't you go and put another 20 kilos on? All right, and then you'll hit rock bottom. Your knees will be sore, your joints will be sore. You'll feel shitty. You'll feel tired on the field, and then you'll hit rock bottom. And you're like, okay, I really need to do this now. All jokes aside, all right. All jokes aside, that is a way. Like that is a good way to do it because most people only get motivated when they hit rock bottom. When enough is enough. Okay, so what is your enough is enough? That you're now going to be like, yep, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go lose the fat, and here's how I'm going to do it. Okay, so that's where you got to get yourself to. Right, enough is enough. That you need to change. You must make this change. And when you've made that decision, it's easy. It is easy. Okay, so let's get into it. Number one reason I think, or I know that a lot of rugby players are holding more fat is because they eat a lot of fast food. Okay, they fail to prepare. And I've worked with now thousands of rugby players, would you believe, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, most of them all, when I go through their diets, I get everyone, we get the RDC Fuel Guide when you sign up to the programs, and I get people to go, yeah, like send me what they've been eating. And most of the time, there's some sort of fast food in there. KFC, McDonald's, you name it, or Porto. Now, the thing about that is just it's very calorie dense. All right, you don't get a whole lot of nutrients for the calories that you get. All right, so that is my number one thing is like, okay, how can you cut out something that's really calorie dense, that's not serving you any sort of purpose in terms of nutrients at all? If you can start cutting that one thing out, all right, and then prepare something else instead, okay, which takes a little bit of extra time. All right, and this is why I said you've got to want it. You have got to want to make the change. Because if you don't, then you're just going to stay the same. I promise you. I promise you will not change. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, number two is actually just like work out, like what you're eating every week. Right, write it down, put it somewhere. Look at MyFitnessPal, anything like that. Just start filling out, like, because you sort of start to realize, like, oh wow, I'm actually eating a whole lot of this or a whole lot of this. Or, hey, maybe I'm not even getting close to my protein targets. Okay, because like with all the propaganda in the world right now of like red meat's bad and for the environment and all that rubbish, we can go into that another day. But that's a whole bunch of rubbish that people keep getting fed. People are eating less protein and less quality protein sources, so they're eating more vegetable source or more plant-based sources, which aren't complete in the amino acid profiles. All right, and what I mean by that is that like the types of protein, right? There's different amino acids, and they are not complete. They don't have all the different amino acids that we need. Okay, so when I was at my leanest, and when I and I'm always been quite a lean guy. Like my thing has always been struggling to put on muscle, and so I actually bulked up myself. And I got to like 93, 95 kilos, which is big for me. I'm like, I must have been like 30% body fat at the time, which is quite large for me. And to lose the weight and lose the fat because I slowed down. It slowed down my performance. I felt awful. My knees hurt on the field. I had I had shin splints. Had everything that comes with all that excessive weight gain without building into that. or adapting to that weight. And what happened, and how I lose the weight now and how I've been at my leanest. So the easiest thing I find for me is to have red meat in the morning, okay, and eggs and a coffee. All right, that's the easiest thing I can do. Okay, like, and I'm not against carbs. Like, I'm not like saying that you need to go do a keto or anything like that. Whatever diet. All I'm saying is I have red meat in the morning, okay, because then I hit my protein in the morning. Right? I get a whole bunch of protein in. I feel satiated, so I don't feel hungry. And what's going to happen is, like, I'm not going to get like a crazy insulin spike. Yes, my insulin is going to go up, okay, and insulin is just a hormone. All right, and it's just helping glucose, or sugar gets turned into glucose, shuttle glucose into the cells. Okay, now when you have that, all right, when you do that, what happens is, like, you don't crave as many foods, right? You don't crave many sweets, you don't crave as much, and you just get this like prolonged energy. Right? It's not like this up and down energy where you're like, oh, I'm tired now, I just ate, or like, you just feel calm and ready to go. And so that's what I do. And one, is not very calorie dense. Okay, unless I'm having a really fatty piece of steak, which I do. It's not as calorie dense. Okay, which means that I can eat a lot, and I'm quite full. And and my calories aren't skyrocketing compared to if I had something like cereal, which is usually more calorie dense, paired with milk, something like that. That's more calorie dense and is high in sugar. My insulin's going to spike, and like I'm not going to feel as calm, ready. I'll get hungrier. So yeah, that's actually that's how I start. That's how I start my days, actually, is with that. And actually, one of the tricks I use for the maximum muscle program for guys that want to put on weight, because there's a lot of people who struggle to put on weight. If you're listening to this, you're probably not one of them, which is cool. I actually get them to have apple juice in the morning. And the whole reason behind this is so they actually feel less satiated throughout the day, because it's a high sugar, so the insulin spikes. So yeah, I actually get them to have apple juice in the morning, like a big glass of apple juice. And what that does is, it spikes the insulin and makes people want to eat more, and they won't feel as full during the day. Okay, which should cause them to actually eat more food during the day. So that's one of the simplest ways for me to actually help people put on weight, is actually spiking that. So if we can reverse that, and we have a steak, which is high protein, in the morning, and we can say, we can keep the insulin at not just an up and down sort of spikes, then you won't be as hungry. So that is like one of the easiest ways. And I still have my carbohydrates. I have my carbs usually after I train, or in the afternoon and with dinner. And that's just going to replenish glycogen. Even though your body has ways of replenishing glycogen. Okay, so our first two things. One is that I want you to cut out the fast food. All right, cut it out and track what you're eating. Like, just, you don't have to stick to you don't have to religiously always track, but for at least 2 weeks, if you can track, that's going a long, long way. Right, that's going a long way to understanding what you're actually getting into your body, and when you know what you need to cut out. Right, it's going to show you. It's going to be like, okay, we need to cut this out because this is crap. And most of the time, you already know what you need to cut out, but you're just not doing it. Okay, so this is a way to help that. And then you get to, then if you can, have a steak for breakfast. Steak, eggs, bacon, my favorite breakfast. And that's just going to set you up for the day. And then you can have your carbohydrates later in the day after you've trained, when you're ready to go to bed. And I'm not saying you always have to do it this way. Some people actually react better having the carbohydrates early. And if you're leaner, then I find that when people are leaner, they actually do better with carbohydrates. So the more carbs you give them, they actually do a bit better when they are lean. All right, and that's to do with the insulin. That's to do with you being able to use that glucose rather than it just being going around your system. So there were some of my top ways. Okay. So once again, it comes back to you and how much you want it. If it's a 10 out of 10, then you'll do anything to change it. Right? You'll prepare, you'll start writing things down, what you're eating, and you'll be able to change your eating habits. So yeah, that's some of the simplest ways. Now, for an extra bonus, if you can have a cold shower in the morning for 2 to 3 minutes, right, it's not going to give you like the crazy fat loss results, but what it is going to do is sharpen up that mind. It's going to be a sharpening up. So when you say to do something, you go and do it. You get it done, right? There are other benefits like your brown fat stores, which is not like your normal fat that you see. You actually have brown fat, which is stored on the back. All right, when those get stimulated, and you can't actually see it, so don't worry about that. It's not going to be some fat back weird thing. When that's stimulated and that grows, what should happen is that your body should naturally, your metabolic rate should go up, so you should naturally be using a bit more energy. Okay, and like it's a way of our body trying to keep itself warm. Okay, so that's the adaptation. And to keep yourself warm, you need more calories, obviously, right? The body needs more fuel. Okay, so that's one little cool trick, but that's not gonna get the most of the results, right? That's just like a 1%er. My last thing is just being active. Active, going for walks, breathing through your nose, going for a walk. If you can spend 20, 30 minutes a day, even less, 10 minutes, whatever, walk. One of the best things you can do to help you lose fat and just keep it off. Okay, so they are my top tools. Obviously, with your training, I think you should be training weights 3 to 5 times a week, depending on your program, where you are in your season, but you should be definitely doing some weight training too. All right, if you need help with it, obviously my programs are there. If this has helped you, please share it with someone. That really helps me out. If you share it, yeah. Cool. If you need help with it, please reach out to me. I've got heaps of programs. I've got the Super Player program, which would definitely help you and assist you with the fat loss. And we've got the RDC Fuel Guide, and you get my help helping you out with your nutrition. Okay, cool. See you later.